Okay, so now we need to just wire these on-click actions to this screen. So let's go back to the main activity. I'm actually just going to double click on this to remove the menu on the left hand side. Okay, so we've got, first one is add. Next one we've got minus. And the last one we've got is reset. So we need a value that's going to be carried across so that we can manipulate from the different functions. So at the top, I'm going to create a var. A var means that it can be changed, and we'll call this count. And we're going to cast this to an integer, so a whole number. And we'll give that a value of 0. Okay, so in here, we're going to want to increase the count of the current value. And the next thing that we're actually going to need to do is find or update the text view with the current value. So this has currently got the assigned value of value. So in here we'll do value dot text equals. Now it actually requires a string, but we can't set a value of 0 to a string. But all we need to do is do double quotes plus 0. So we actually add the 0 to the end of a string, converting it to one whole string. Now this is currently in red. So if I look at the imports, it's because we're actually trying to find this ID, and this class isn't aware of it. So this is quite easily fixable. So options, edit, and import. And it actually imports this library for us. So that's all we need to do there. So it can now find that value. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to add the minus version in here. And the last thing that we want to do is, if we click the reset button, we actually want to change set the count equals to 0, and let's update the value text equals 0. So that's everything that we need to do to get this working. We will run into an error now. So the next step is, how do we run this on a device or test the application? First thing we need to do is we don't actually need a physical device. We can actually run this on under a virtual device, and Android Studio comes with exactly that. So we've actually got this icon at the top right hand corner, and if we click that, we've actually got the virtual devices wizard for us. If you don't have that icon, you can actually find it in Tools AVD Manager. So let's create a new device. So I'm actually going to use, I'm going to avoid one of the ones with the Play Store. It'll just pop up with additional things to sign into the Android store. So I'm just going to choose the Pixel XL. So this is kind of like the resolution and the layout of the device. So next, now I need to choose a version of Android. What version of Android am I going to start running? So we've got a few to choose from, but I actually need to download each one that I'm actually going to run. I am actually going to download the latest and greatest, and I'm going to accept. And this will take a few minutes to install. Cool, once it's installed, we can then choose that version, next, and just give it a name. The default's fine, and finish. Okay, so now we've got our device. I'm just going to close this, and we can see the device up here. I'm just going to click the play button. Now this is actually going to start building the application that we've created. We can see that down at the bottom. Okay, now we're ready to run our application. So we can either do that through the toolbar and under run app, or we've got it up here in the toolbar, and here's our app all up and running. So now I'm going to try clicking the buttons, and I do expect this to crash. So as this is crashing, we'll just head over to Android Studios. And what we'll do is we'll look in the logcat to actually see what the issue is. So here we can see add view is the issue. So what this actually means is that the onClick method is expecting a view to be passed across. So under here on the button, we've got this add method, and it's expecting a view to be passed across to the main activity. So if we come in here and we just put in a view, and this will be of a type class view, and we'll see here that this is red. So we can press option return just to import that, control return on Windows, I believe, and then we can actually run the app again. So if you come through here and I start clicking the buttons, nothing's actually changing. So at the moment all we've actually got is 0. So I'm just going to head back to Android Studios, and I can see the issue here. So the issue actually means, or the issue is that I've actually assigned 0 to the end rather than the actual variable count. So let's just update these two areas, and we'll run this again, and we'll go back to our application to see how this is running. So if we just fire this up, and now our counter goes up, we can reset it, and we can subtract. Now the only issue that we've got is we can actually go past 0, and we don't really want that to happen. So that's an easy fix. So if count is greater than 0, then we can carry out these actions. Rebuild. Now we can go up and we can go down, but we can't go past 0. We can go up and we can reset. So the only other issue that I've actually got is if I start incrementing this and close the actual application, and then I reopen the app, what we actually find is my count has been reset. So that value has been reset to 0. So if I increment it again, and then I close the application again, the 4 is then lost, and it's then reverted to 0. So what we'll actually do in the next video is we'll use system preferences to actually record the value as it gets incremented, and we'll make sure that when the app's reopened, that value is returned. See you in the next video.